Welcome everyone to the Co-Creators Convergence Thursday night Creator Convos. I'm Noelle Marshall and I'm here with my beloved.
Hi everybody, it's Bob over here. We're so happy you're here tonight. It's going to be a great conversation about the potential of being in circle at the 10th Co-Creators Convergence.
Yes, welcome. There are some new faces here. And so before we get going, it's going to be a very exciting evening. I guarantee you that. I want to tell you a little bit about the Co-Creators Convergence and exactly what we have coming up. So if you would, please stand by. So that's a little bit about us. And if you're not getting our monthly newsletter with all the guests that we have, conversationalists we have for the month, just put your email in the chat and we will add you to our list. And we do have some very exciting guests, mostly terrestrial, but we do have other visitors from time to time. So anyway, I'm very excited about this evening. And you know what? I'm going to turn the talking stick over to Bob because he's like Mr. Detail Man and gets it straight. So Bob's going to do a centering for us, and then he's going to introduce our weavers. Basically, what you're looking at right now is your 2023 CCC Weaver team with Noelle and Bob, those old hacks, Rosemary Zidek from Costa Rica, as well as Gail Nystrom. And you will meet them and they'll talk a little bit later about what they're bringing to our gathering and what we'll be co-creating together. So without any further ado, I'm turning it over to you, Bobby.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So tonight will be a little bit different than it is most Thursday nights because there's going to be a lot more conversation, a lot more detail. And apparently Magi, who's over my shoulder, wants to be a part of the conversation. So that'll be a part of it as well. And we're recording primarily because there are some folks that have already committed that they're going to be in the circle in Costa Rica, but they weren't able to be here tonight to learn some of the details. This is basically the reveal party for this year's Epic Co-Creators Convergence. So when we are together, there's a lot of joy, a lot of fun, tears, laughter, and sacred time for reflection. I would like to acknowledge that by us starting the evening with a centering. And so I invite you, we're going to have everybody on gallery view if that's what you prefer, and keep your video on if you like. And I would invite us all to close our eyes for a moment and take a couple of breaths together. Breath in and a breath out. And as you close your eyes, imagine for a moment a candle flame lit before you. And as you gaze at that flame, imagine all the mysteries and the wisdoms and the stories that have come before this moment. Remembering now that when we light the fire, it's the same fire that's lit around the world and throughout time. This flame that connects us to all the mysteries of the past, the mysteries of the present, and the mysteries of the future. As we greet the elemental fire, this flame in our candle in our mind's eye, we recognize its masculine energy, the hot fire of the sun. And we recognize the feminine energy, the cool fire of the moon. This fire, the flame dancing on our candle, is the witness of our gathering here and the mirror of the divine spark within, our internal flame. We will work this evening in the light of this flame as the eternal flame supporting us in our collective becoming an illumination. We sit with this candle tonight, and we sit in the mystery of our October gathering. So I'd invite you to take one more deep breath. Let's all be here together in this circle tonight. Open your eyes, and the reveal party shall begin. Thank you all for being here. So this is very exciting for those of us that have been to 10 convergences, because it's like they're veterans here, it's Old Home Week, there's some that are new to this circle, there are some that have been invited by others to consider the possibility of being in our in-person event in Circle in October. And there are some that have been very much a part of the Co-Creators Convergence community on Thursday night calls on a World Unity Week as participants for a number of years, but have yet to be in a gathering in person. So I want to share a little bit of background, particularly because there are new folks here. And I might actually call on a few veterans, like Flo or David or somebody, just surprise them to have them share with others how they see the convergence as different than other events that they participate in. But that in a moment. Just a little bit of history. In 2013, the first Co-Creators Convergence was held at, and a number of you were there, was held at Sunrise Ranch. It was an initiative of the Sunrise Ranch community and to be there on the weekend when Barbara Marks Hubbard was going to receive the Spiritual Humanitarian Award. And we met there 7 years in a row. And we missed a year in 2020. And in 2021 and 22, we were at the White Eagle Lodge in near Houston, Texas. And there are things about this coming year's epic event that are the same, and some things that are very, very different than what has been in the past. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and then also have Gail Nystrom and Rosemary talk about that as well. The discussions, first off, I should say that since the very first year, other than the last two, so the 7 years we were at Sunrise Ranch, we always had what other people that would plan an event would call a planning committee. We called them planning stewards in the early years, right, Shelley and Marcia, and we called them weavers in latter years. And the discussions for this year really began at our convergence last year at White Eagle Lodge about the potential of doing something very different and having our event in another country. And then Noelle and I were blessed to spend a couple of weeks, 3 weeks in Costa Rica in January, and even more opened up and presented itself, which includes the venues that we're going to be at, that said, this is the year for this to happen. So the weavers for this year are, as Noelle mentioned, are Gail Nystrom and Rosemary. And Rosemary has been to one convergence last year at White Eagle. Gail Nystrom has not been to a convergence before. So that's one of the different things. We've typically had weavers that have attended one or two, at least one or two events. And but it's important that we have people that are in Costa Rica that are helping us with planning the framework. So we started planning the framework, and we're going to talk about that this evening. But this is, like I said, kind of the reveal party and the opening of official registration for this year. And as has always been the case in the past, the Love Fest with a theme, as Noelle calls it, will be inviting anybody and everyone after you register to bring a process to facilitate to that aligns with a theme of sacred peace, co-creating sacred peace. We've had 10 years of themes. We've never had the word peace in our theme. So that is a touch point for everything that we're going to do there, and invite all to participate. For those of you that have never been to the Convergence in person, it's not a retreat, it's not a workshop, it's not a lecture. We know that every single person that finds themselves in the circle is a leader and is a co-creator with spirit and with nature and with those that end up assembled in that circle at that particular time. And so we invite people to introduce process or to facilitate processes that are aligned with the theme. Don't have to do that as a prerequisite of coming, but you're invited to do that. And we'll have a form when people register that we'll send out and ask for all the details about what do you have in mind for a process? How does it align with the theme? What do you need as far as facilities? Do you think we should do this while we're sitting in a thermal bath, or do you think we should be doing this as we're laying on the ground at ancient ruins, or do you think we should be doing it in our meeting room? So all of those sort of things. So what's the same and what's different about this year? Again, just at a highlight level. What's same is the creation of a theme, the alignment with that theme, the invitation for people to bring processes to the conversation. What's different, obviously, is we've never been outside the United States with our event before. And so there are travel challenges to that. And we're going to do our best for this not to feel like either the conversation or the event to feel like a tour, because it's not that, it's a convergence. But we will be in multiple locations, and only once that I can think of in all the other events have we gone off property. One time we went to spend with therapy horses, and maybe 2 times because we went to spend time with the wolves last year at White Eagle Lodge. But we're going to be in multiple locations during the 7-8 days that we're together. So that's different. And of course, that requires transportation, logistics, and finances to accomplish all of that. So the other thing is there'll be a lot of transportation, in other words. The other thing is, and David will particularly remember this, a number of us have always felt like we should be giving something back to the space that we're in, and that we should be providing a gift. We've done that a couple of times. We planted a tree for Barbara Marks Hubbard at Sunrise Ranch. We've done other things occasionally, but this year there's going to be a considerable amount of seva, that is sacred service, selfless service to the spaces that we're going to be in. And we'll talk about those. Rosemary and Gail will both talk about those as well. And so that is, that's another distinction of this not being a tour. When we go on a tour to a foreign country, we're there to have them tell us about us. And Co-Creators Convergence is about going to a space and bringing ourselves, our energy and our circle's energy, our community's energy to the space. And so both are happening in that reciprocal agreement. So I'd like to invite Gail and Rosemary to introduce themselves. A couple of you were able to see Gail Nystrom when we had a Thursday night conversation with her about the Costa Rica Humanitarian Foundation. A number of you know Rosemary either from being together every morning for meditation, or you were at the Convergence last year. And so I want to invite each of them to spend a moment or two introducing themselves to all of you. And again, not just those that are in the room tonight, but those that will be listening to this recording. Introduce themselves to you and how it relates to the Convergence, and then also share a bit about what they're bringing as far as, in both cases, both a location and energy and a space as it relates to our theme for this year of co-creating sacred peace. So which one of you would like to go first? Yeah. One's pointing and one's whichever. Rosemary, why don't you go ahead? You were at the Convergence last year, and then we'll hear from Gail. Thank you, Gail. Go ahead, Rosemary.
Wonderful. Thank you. Bueno, greetings, everyone.
Can you get a
My
little
name
bit
is
louder
Rosie.
on your microphone, Rosemary?
Let's see. How about that? I probably have to hold it
Oh,
right up here at my
super
face.
duper.
Is that
Super
better?
duper. Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
wonderful. Greetings. Thank you, Bob, and thank you everyone for coming. This is a joyous event and lots of excitement that has been building up, and the best is yet to come. As was mentioned at the beginning of this call, I am an almost 30-year expat from the United States, living in Costa Rica. I've been an educator most of my adult career life, and I'm retired, but I'm not tired. I still do English classes, and not very many. It's so nice to be able to say no, but I still do contribute to my communities here. Yeah, I don't know what else to say other than I'm really excited that you're coming down, as they say. I was at last year's Convergence for the very first time in Montgomery, Texas. And it was an experience that, number one, is unforgettable. And number two, was very enriching for me in many ways. Not only the different processes that people shared amongst us, but the beautiful facilities and grounds where we stayed. And also the lazos, or the relationship ties that have endured even through today. I see many of you on the screen that were at that convergence that I had met for the very first time. And others of you who I met previous to the convergence said it's so nice to reconnect with you. So I don't know what else I'm supposed to say, Bob. Is that enough? I think my excitement will carry through the call. Yeah?
Sure. Or would you like to tell us a little bit about the mini fundo for everyone's benefit?
Okay, that's right.
We're not gonna
That's right.
we're not gonna kind of go through
Okay.
what we've planned, the framework we've planned thus far in chronological
Yeah.
order. So we're gonna just
Okay.
kind of jump around. Inside the 8 days, we're going to be spending 5 days at a very
Okay.
sacred retreat center in the Orosi Valley, and be doing most of our processes there and occasionally
Perfect.
going out from there. So if you would share a little bit about the mini fundo, that would be wonderful.
Perfect. Yeah, I had forgotten that you mentioned that. Yeah. So yes, I currently live and have lived for the last 5 years in a small town in Costa Rica called Orosi. It's in a sacred valley right outside the first capital of Costa Rica, which is Cartago. So we're here in the mountains, and the mini fundo is, in fact, as Bob said, it's a very family-oriented, small retreat center that caters mostly to groups that are on a spiritual path. So whether there be Theosophists or Brahma Kumaris or Tibetan Buddhists, we've had them all at the retreat center. And my role at this retreat center is I serve on the administrative council with the founder, who's an 88-year-old woman from Holland, as well as a Costa Rican woman. So the three of us are the council. And the place itself has 7 dwellings, and Bob doesn't want me to give away all the secrets, but I use specifically the word dwellings because it wouldn't be fair to say 7 houses or 7 cabins. Each dwelling is unique in its construction and its size, and each room has been very specifically designed and built. So I think I'll leave it at that. The retreat center is located in the heart of the downtown area of a small town, Orosi, and very accessible to several of the outings that Bob mentioned that we would be doing during our 5 days in Orosi. The last question I know he posed was what I might offer at the retreat center. Well as being one of the administrators there. So, if you need toilet paper or, a fresh towel, you can find me. I'll be able to help you with those kind of things. But as far as our convergence goes, I would like to offer the Essene communions with the angels every day. As many of you know, that's been my daily practice for 7 years now. And to be able to share it in a group of spiritually minded people is a joy for me to even just think about. So I will be offering that in the chapel there every morning and every evening. And other than that, I don't know, maybe a few Spanish lessons if you like. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm ready to let it unfold. Thanks so much. And thanks again for coming.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rosemary. Noelle and I were blessed when we were down there in January to visit this space, this sanctuary. It's a blessed place. It's really, we're really going to enjoy the peace of being in this space. I'll leave it at that for the moment, maybe more later. Rosemary, also, one of the days that we're in Orosi, in the Orosi Valley and at the Minifundo, we're going to be taking all of ourselves to the thermal baths of the Hacienda Orosi and hopefully have a meal and a process there, or maybe it'll be the first time the Convergence has ever had a circle process all in water. Maybe we'll see what happens, but tell them a little bit about the thermal baths.
Well, I think, Bob, the best way to talk just briefly about Hacienda Orosi is to perhaps show one of the short videos. What do you think?
Sure, I can do that real quick. Hang on a second here.
Yeah, Hacienda Orosi is in fact a place right outside of the town of Orosi. It's about a 10-minute taxi ride. And it's in the mountains, and it's in a remote area, like I said, outside of town. And the place originally was a coffee farm, and then it was cattle, and then the man who bought it several years ago saw the potential to develop the thermal waters that run through the property. One of the unique properties of this particular hot springs is that the waters are not volcanic. So what does that mean? It means that the mineral content of these waters is very different than a volcanic hot spring. Two main differences is this water is odorless and there's no sulfur, so it doesn't stick on your skin. So what you're looking at right now is I'm walking from the front entrance toward one of the 5 pools, and each of the pools is a different temperature. The hottest one is 40 degrees centigrade, which is about 105, I believe, if someone wants to do the math. And as you can see by the scenery around this pool, it's all mountains, it's all open space. So when one is there during the day, and this was actually taken this morning, so you can see the beautiful blue sky and the clouds, but there's birds and butterflies and flocks of parrots that fly around and over. This is another one of the pools. This is number 3. And then we go around the corner. These are some ground orchids that are surrounding this particular pool. I tried to get the purple tops, and then there's a number 5. And then I finished by doing a circle around towards the restaurant where you have lots of flowers. I must also mention that if you were to go down below the pools on a little path, there's a place to apply thermal mineral mud. So it's actually the clay that comes out at the side of the spring, where the spring comes out of the river, and there's actually 6 different springs on this property. And that water comes out of the ground at 75 degrees centigrade, hot. You can boil an egg. And they run a parallel tube from the springs, where the springs come out. They run a parallel tube of cold water, so that when the waters enter the pools, that's a combination of the hot and the cold. They monitor the temperatures frequently, and then the water flows into the pools, not treated, no chlorine, no ozone, nothing, and then runs over the sides and back down the hill into the river. So it's completely natural. And I could talk for hours about this, but it's even more fun when I'm there chatting about it, immersed in the pools. So that's something to look forward to.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Rosemary. Appreciate it. And so all of us will be in the conversation here in a little bit.
You muted, Bob. You're muted.
Oops,
Bob, you're on mute.
thank you. Thank you so much, Rosemary. I'd like to introduce Gail Nystrom. Some of you were blessed to see her Thursday night with us, talking about the Costa Rica Humanitarian Foundation that she founded 25 years ago. Just had their big 25 anniversary celebration this past Sunday night. And we were blessed to meet her while we were in Costa Rica and find out that, as we do sometimes, somebody that's a Facebook friend is just down the street from us. That usually occurs in the United States, but it occurred while we were in Costa Rica. And Gail is also a student and friend of Barbara Marx Hubbard, as many of us are. And that's another connection point that we have with her. And I'd like to invite you, Gail, to introduce yourself a bit to the group and talk a little bit about how we're going to fold in this very significant opportunity to be in service and co-create peace in Locarpio.
Okay, thanks, Bob, for that introduction. So I came to Costa Rica in 1977 with the Peace Corps, thinking that I was going to an island off the west coast of Africa where they speak French. So we didn't have Waze back then. And I quickly learned where I was and absolutely fell in love with this country. It's a very powerful, deep knowing that this is where I was supposed to be. I've been lucky enough to travel all over the country, from indigenous reserves to volcanoes, to rural communities, to beach towns. And it's been such an amazing experience. And I'm really glad that I can share at least a one part, sort of a small part of my many years here, because I hope that you will love Costa Rica and understand it as much as I do. You will, when I'm here, when I'm in Costa Rica, I do get a lot of intuitions, intuitive messages, answers to questions, opportunities to ask questions. And sometimes the answers come, boom, pretty fast and pretty obvious. So your first day in Costa Rica, which is Sunday, will be in a community called Locarpio. Locarpio is a unique site in all of Central America. It's a community of 25,000 people, 5,000 homes, who came to found it, like the founding fathers of the United States. They came from foreign lands or other places, and they set up homesteads, places where they could make a dwelling out of black plastic, 4 sticks and a piece of cardboard as a roof. And that's how the community started. And I was lucky enough to be part of that first process. I've seen it grow and change, and I will be sharing with you some of the stories in the good old days, like that everybody gets into. But it became, as years went by, it became clear to me that Locarpio was not just some poor people who were making a better life. It's much more profound and serious and meaningful, because these are people who came with a vision and have worked really, really hard to make their community a special place, and they've done it. So you'll be coming. We have 3 centers there. 3. You'll be coming to one of them, and I'll give you more information about the community. Then we'll have some interactions, and I'm not going to go into details, but anyways, we study the Peace Pilgrim with the children. We have children that we work with. There's 800 children that we have on our list. And so they'll be giving you a little play about the Peace Pilgrim, and we'll talk about that. And they'll be very excited to meet somebody who is the peace, or works with the same kind of things. What else can I say? Some people get shocked by the living conditions. I think I'm so used to it, I don't even see any problem with it anymore. But it's a tribute to the resilience of the human being as they strive for a higher kind of quality of life. And they're all on a spiritual path as well, and they understand that. So I'll be happy to introduce our amazing team of ex-Nicaraguan refugees, ex-war combatants in the Nicaraguan revolution of the Iran-Contra. I don't know if anybody worked with that or remembers that. And they'll share with you how they evolved into what they're doing now. We will participate with a project in the community, and I'll be with you all the time to catch your impressions. And I'm very proud that we will be going there, because it's sort of, for me, it's sort of like the Carpio shows the best of the Costa Rican culture. Why? Because they did not get in there. The Costa Ricans did not send an army in there, excuse me, to kick the people out. They devised very specific strategies to make life livable for these struggling, poverty-stricken, war-traumatized people, so that they would not turn into gangs or into negative influences in the country of Costa Rica. Okay, I think is that good? You get that?
Wonderful. Thank you, Gail. This is going to be an amazing opportunity for us, because I'm looking at Marsha McCartney, the clown that was with us on CCC1. There, she got her nose right there. Thank you. Always has her nose ready. And who traveled to Vietnam and was sponsored by the Unity Church system and whatnot to bring fun and love and brightness to young people. And this is going to be an opportunity for me. I feel this is an opportunity. I know how bright the light of this Co-Creators Convergence community is, individually and collectively. And I'm very excited to see that light shining with this community of people, and for it to reflect back in their eyes to us, and vice versa. We're going to invite us that are in the part of the world society that has an ability to afford an airline ticket, to also bring some things along with us, and we'll give you ideas of some of those things that you could bring along with us, because we'll be receiving and giving gifts to people of this community as well, individually and collectively. So really looking forward to it.
I wanted to also add that we worked with Patch Adams for many years. Patch Adams came to Le Carpio and did projects with us.
Right. Right.
Any clowns know about him?
So
do you want me to talk about Guayabo as well now?
Yes, please do. So the two other things going to have Gail mention. One is Guayabo, the national park, and what that is, and Mother Nature or your rain gear permitting, we'll have both. We will spend time at the Guayabo National Park. Go ahead, Gail.
So the first time I set foot in Guayabo Park was 1978. And it was unknown. It had no, excuse me, it had no publicity. It had nobody knew what it was. So we walked in there I went in with some Peace Corps friends, and there was like a mound, and there was like kind of a path, but oh my goodness, I got downloaded so much energy and information. Bob and Noel went with me, and they were here, and they felt something of it, I'm sure, but to not speak for them. But it's so magical and so powerful, the energy. And I will be happy to share with you. I've been going there. Oh, I must have gone there, I don't know, probably 200 times. And it never disappoints me. So rain will be okay, sun will be okay. Whatever it is what it's supposed to be. And it will be worth the drive there in any case. So
Thank you, Gail.
Can I tell about what you saw when you went there?
Okay, go ahead.
Well, the thing is, every single time I go, I have an encounter with an animal. It could be an ant, it could be a hawk, it could be oh God, one time I went there and there was, when I walked out, there was an owl sitting on a pole straight in front of me, looking at me. And 3 days later, I got hepatitis and almost died. What does that mean? You know, I mean, it's so cool. So when Bob and Noel and I were there, we were sitting down in the place where I like to sit. And all of a sudden we heard this noise and we looked up, and there were a troop of white-faced monkeys. I've never seen monkeys in Guayabo. And so I just got such a delight out of it, because how fun was that, you know, to see the monkeys, you know, going through the trees and playing with each other. So as I say, don't have expectations, but don't be surprised at what you experience there.
Wow, it was great fun. Of course, if Shelley's in the circle with us, there will be owls. We know that, and we at the after party of the reveal party, those who want to stick around, you all can tell us what that means, that the only time in 200 visits Gail has seen monkeys there is when Noel and Bob are there. So you can explain that to us later. So another element of a very significant element of this co-creating peace, a sacred peace, is that there's a facility in Costa Rica called the University of Peace, which is affiliated with the United Nations. And it's been there for many, many years. It schools, graduate level and below people from all over the world in peacemaking. And we're going to spend a good portion of a day at University of Peace as well. And we're blessed that we're going to have with us the executive director of May Peace Prevail on Earth, Fumi John Stewart, will be a part of the convergence this year. A number of you know her from other places and other venues. And we will be together creating a world peace flag ceremony, which Noel and I just did last Saturday up in the mountains in North Carolina with Fumi and a number of other folks. And so we'll have a chance to spend time at the University of Peace, visit the, what's it called? The Center for something or other, Center for
Charter.
Earth Charter, the Center of the Earth Charter, and be in reflection there and have a wonderful meal at a restaurant across the street. So we're finding out whether they have a peace pole there. If they don't, we will be planning a peace pole there while we're there. If they do, then we'll probably be carrying a peace pole around with us until we figure out where to stand it up, stick it in the ground somewhere in Costa Rica. So Noel, why don't you, is there anything else from you, Gail or Rosemary? And we can talk about I guess we should talk about the one other element when we're going to visit the Peace Center, which will be at the conclusion of the week when we're back closer to the airport. For those of you that want to fly home, as opposed to those of us that want to stay longer and do other things, we're going to spend time at the Peace Center in San Jose. Gail, why don't you mention what that facility is and why it's significant?
Well, just very quickly, the Peace Center was started more or less back in the time of the Iran-Contra situation. And Robert Mueller, who was one of the undersecretaries of the UN, his daughter was one of the founders of that. She was a very good friend of mine. So there's a statue of Peace Pilgrim that got moved over to the Peace Center. And before the COVID, we had made a garden for the statue. But Peace Pilgrim happened. I mean, COVID happened, sorry. And we never did actually put the statue on this pedestal. So we're gonna freshen up that garden and place the statue. It's gonna be placed because it's too heavy for you and my abilities. So some of our Nicaraguan refugee guys are gonna come over and pick it up and put it on the thing, and we'll have a little meditation for that. It's just a quick little thing. We're gonna put some window boxes with flowers in it, just spruce it up a bit. And so that's gonna be that. It's gonna be like a half-day project.
Great.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Noelle, before you maybe jump in and talk about a couple of other elements, I would like to invite a couple of people just to share for 2 minutes or so, particularly for those that haven't been to a convergence before, how maybe Flo, if you would do this would be wonderful.
Bob, why don't you let them raise their hand if they'd like to contribute?
Okay, all right. Okay, here's the question. The question is, how is the Co-Creators Convergence different than other spiritual events and activities you participate in? And it's personal to everyone in their experience that they've had, whether they've been to 10 or they've been to 1 convergence. I'd like to hear from maybe just a couple of people that would like to share with others about how is this different? David.
Okay, we got David, and I will add, oops, I was going to add
David and Grace. Okay, go ahead, David.
Okay,
Yeah.
hold on a second. There you go. Welcome, David.
Hi, everybody. What makes it different? I guess it's different than anything I've ever experienced. It's really a co-creation. I mean, when I say co-creation, that's really what it is. So plan to participate, plan to like bring your full self to it and realize that nobody's judging anybody there. There's absolutely no judgment, no, it's just a fun, co-creative blast. And you'll probably learn a lot, but most of all, you'll probably experience a deep connection to the people who are there and a deep connection to yourself.
Cool. Beautiful. Thank you, David. And
Thank
Talia,
you.
we know you're back there.
Yeah,
Okay,
we do.
Shelley Darling has been in quite a few. Shelley.
Oops.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, everyone, and nice to see some folks that I are part of the family and other people that I'm seeing for the first time. So for me, it is what David was sharing, but it's a sense of family in the way that you receive everything, like that sharing of all the gifts that each one brings in a deeper intimacy and joy and fun. And it's, yes, there might be times where you're sitting and receiving specific, information from each person, but it feels like there is a weaving of heart that you don't see everywhere. And even though I know I haven't been for the past 2 years, maybe even more, I don't know, just because of the pandemic and my own circumstances, there isn't it feels like there's not a moment lost. There's this evolutionary experience that brings you, it's like you don't have to work at being in the moment, you just are there. It's almost like, it just feels like this folding in of everything you've ever been and everything that you're it's weaving your not only your intention, but it's weaving the essence. I would say it's about essence and the quality of that essence of the human interaction with each other that never goes away ever, that I've seen anyway. So thank you. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Shelley. Shelley, I know you've been there at least 5 years, maybe
know.
6 or 7.
I think maybe 6 or 7.
Yeah, you're experienced. Okay. Bob told me that Grace had her hand up. So let me add Grace here for just a moment. And there you go.
Thanks, Shelley.
Yeah, for me, the biggest difference between retreat and the Co-Creators Convergence is that the co-creator is heart focused, and you create this heart connection to each person. And that's why it allows it to be in the flow of love much easier than going to a retreat, which is sometimes going to be more mind focused about learning a specific technique or thing. But at the Co-Creators Convergence, it's more about experience through the heart, which I enjoy very much. And that creates that deeper connection to people than just mentally knowing the same body of information. And I've been to 2, so thank you. And they're awesome and they're fun. A lot of joy.
Thank you, Grace. Thank you. Bob, did you want some more? Do you want to continue?
I appreciate you just being a minute or two, and it's wonderful. Let's have Flo and Karen, and then we got to talk about a few more elements and talk about. Yeah, go ahead, Flo.
Okay.
I went to my first Co-Creators Convergence in 2016.
Hold on just a second, Flo. I don't see your hand up, and I'm trying to find you. Did you use?
I put it up and I took it down. But
Will you put it back up so I can find you?
Sure.
There we go. Okay, there you go.
She wanted to spotlight you.
There you go.
Okay. I went to my first Co-Creators Convergence in 2016, knowing one person, and kind of just went there open, not knowing what to expect. And now I don't really know how to explain it. All I know is that the people that I met there were open-hearted and gave what they had to give and taught me kind of how to give more of myself. And I'm still friends with a lot of these people, and I'm so happy that I met them all. And yes, it's almost like a reunion of something we may have forgotten. And that's how I'll put it.
Thank you, Flo. Yeah. A
Excellent.
reunion of people that you've been with before, and a reunion of people that you haven't been with before. Go ahead, Karen.
I need Karen to turn on her video, please.
I would say it's just a bunch of co-creative clowns, and I fit right in.
Okay. Oh, I can't spotlight you.
Oh, you got to spotlight me.
I'm trying to. You didn't have your video on. Here we go, honey.
So no, for me, obviously, Co-Creators Convergence, it's just Bob and Noelle, light partners, hold this space, this co-creative space, and they do it so beautifully, their dance, and just really hold that lamp for all of us to gather and be our true selves and grow and learn and evolve. So yeah, I'm really grateful, and I had forgotten, I know at one point about the piece about the children, and I thought the hot springs was why I was going, but now I see the children. Thank you guys.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Karen.
And Angel B says hello. She's
Hi.
Hey, Angel B.
Hi, Angel B. Wonderful. Noelle, why don't you take it? You wanted to share. Hi, Angel B. You wanted to share a little bit more about you piece, and maybe also you had a comment in the notes to me there about our visit
Right.
to Carpio.
Well, I just want to tell you that when we met Gail strictly by accident, and we happened to be Facebook friends, but really never knew each other, but found out, by some comment she made, then Rosemary repeated it to me. And I went, I think I know that, Gail. I think I'm a Facebook friend of hers. And of course I was through Barbara. We had a connection through Barbara Marks Hubbard, but we never connected directly. And so we were only in Costa Rica for like another 48 hours or something like that. So I said, I sent her a PM. I say, Gail, you know, would it be possible to meet? I hear you do wonderful things. And so she said, sure, let's do dinner. And then like the whole rest of the time you were with Gail, and she took to Squiabo, and that was amazing, as she told you. But I'm telling you what, when we went to the Costa Rica Humanitarian Foundation, it was just like, I might even start crying, because it was just so impactful what she has done, and the response of the children, and the joy of the teachers that were there and the children. And you know, some people said, well, why are you taking them to a place that some people would call, you know, a slum? And Gail calls it an upwardly mobile poverty community. These people are working on improving their lives, and little mom and pop shops have popped up. And you know what she's doing to help them, feed them. She feeds about, I don't know, 2,000 families a week, no exaggeration. She runs a school. Actually, she has 3 Montessori schools. And one thing we are going to be asking, so we want to go there because your heart will just so open to these children and to what she has done there, that, you know, that's why we thought we put it at the very beginning, because we're coming from very privileged places. And we're going to ask you, those of you that register, to bring hygiene kits, because these people, you know, we take for granted that we have shampoo, soap, a washcloth, feminine products. She even says, if you can fit in any gently used shoes, bring those along. Anything that we can bring like that. So I'm going to pack light, and I'm going to bring one. I'm flying Southwest, so I get two. So one's going to be packed to the gills with toothbrushes and other things like that, and the other is just going to be, you know, what you might see me wearing the same clothes. There is a washer dryer at Minifundo. So anyway, I just thought we'll go there first, and it'll just explode your heart. It will just explode your heart, what she's doing and how she's received, and what's happening there. And they also serve good food. And it's really great to have Rosemary and Gail on the team, because they know the restaurants to go to. So when you're coming, 2 hotel nights in San Jose is included. You'll be fed. Then we go for 5 nights at the Minifundo and Orosi. It's all included, your food, and the specifics of what isn't included, like your hotel, your transportation, and other things will be very specified in what we send out to you. But mostly everything will be included. And then, from we'll have that experience there. And then we're going to go to U-Peace and see. So you're going to see like what people think isn't peaceful. What brought these people from Nicaragua was not peace. Okay. So they came from a war-torn area. And so then we're going to flip it, and we're going to go to something very constructive when we go to the University of Peace and learn what is being done there, and as well as the Earth Charter. And we will have a flag ceremony, which is very beautiful, which we'll be doing with Fumi John Stewart, as Bob said, who is the executive director of worldpeace.org. And so, Bob, if you put worldpeace.org in the chat there, if you want to look that up, there's an amazing resource for all levels and in multiple languages. And that's how we will be blessing peace poles there and planting them in Costa Rica, day and time yet to be determined. So then after we do that, those 2 things are relatively, close to our San Jose hotel. Then we will go out to the Minifundo. And all I can say is like, it's like you're being put in heaven to raise more, to bring, we're going to be creating that vortex of love that we're so well known for. I remember the first year that that our first CCC, we are all down the Green Ridge room, and up above is the cafeteria. And so we were down there doing our processes and stuff, and we had breaking coming up for food. And then some of the people, the residents came up to me and said, "What are you all doing down there?" And we said, "Well, we're just, we're in community, we're in circle, we're trying to raise the vibration. They said, can we come? Like, this whole place here is lit up. And so we'll be lighting places up. So it's kind of like we're going to have a very high platform at the Mini Fundo to take off and to launch. So we're going to do so much there together with the wonderful, let me tell you, them thermal baths, wonderful. And the trip to Guayaba will be based out of Orosi. And then along the way, we have a couple sacred places that we're going to visit on our way out to the Mini Fundo. And I'm just going to tell you, if you're looking, and I'm just going to say this, if you're looking for us to take you to the beach, or you want to go to the Pacifica, you want to go, we're not going to the beach. We're going to be mountain and city, but we're going to blow your minds. That's all I'm going to say. Now, there are some people who are coming there early, and some are going to go out to the beach, and they want to go to the chocolate factory or something like that. There's some that are going to stay late. We're going to let you all, we're going to plant the 7 sacred days, and then you can plan your own adventure before or after if you feel so called. And you'll have, 2 goddesses here that have lived there with an average of 35, 40 years. So don't ask Noel and Bob. They'll want to go with you. So, but we'll be all planned out by that time. But anyway, it's very exciting. And I hope you can tell by my enthusiasm, I'm enthused. And what is enthusiasm? Entheos, in God. And that's what we are. And that's what we're going to be doing more of. So Bob, I'll turn it back to you.
Okay, why don't we mention the price, and then let's just open up for questions and whatnot. So again, the expenses this year include a lot of local transportation, which we've never had in years past. But the Mini Fundo has been amazingly generous with their room and board per night basis. And we've gotten a tremendous opportunity at the thermal springs as well. And Gail is being very, very generous. The foundation's being very generous, and they're going to feed us when we're there and everything else. So from the time we start, which is Saturday night in the hotel, after you all arrive on Saturday during the day sometime, from Saturday night in the hotel through the following Saturday, we've never had a convergence that's 7 days long, through the following Saturday, lunch, all the meals, all the accommodations, all the entry fees to everything, including donation to the foundation, is going to be, Noel already announced it on the Facebook page before, $1,250 double occupancy, and that's an early bird price that exists until the end of June. We're going to be
Can I
limited
make one
to
correction on that?
Sure.
We are not supplying Saturday night dinner because everybody's getting in at a different time. But where the hotel is right across the street, there are places so you can feed yourself. And so that
Saturday
initial
night, Saturday night accommodations, then breakfast the next morning at the hotel, and then all the way through the following Saturday lunch. And and so it's which is by the way an amazing bargain. That's double occupancy. There'll be a little upcharge because we'll have to juggle some rooms in both places if someone needs to or like to have a room to themselves.
There may be few singles. Yes, there may be.
Yeah. And then we're, because of the transportation arrangements and everything we made and the capacity at the Mini Fundo, we have to limit it to 25 people. And so, so we're inviting people to do a $250 non-refundable deposit, and then you're in, and then make the final payment. I can't remember what we decided now, but it's limited to 25 people. At July 1, if we aren't already full, it's going to go up to $1,500. So anything else, Gail, Rosemary, Noel, and we just open the floor for conversation and questions and ideas.
I don't know if you mentioned that the bus transportation is also included. I don't know.
Thank you, Gail. All the local on-ground transportation is provided. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's a fair amount of it. So Noel, Rosemary, anything else we missing before we just open the floor?
Yeah, that's what I'd like. Let's open it for questions.
Super.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let me just clarify
Thanks,
something.
Rosemary.
usually airlines get in at in the night. Okay, they usually arrive at night from the US and usually depart in the morning. My experts tell me, and that's been my experience. So you'll get there Saturday night, and so it may be late or whatever. So Saturday night, Bob is going to be coordinating. Let's say you're definite, you're in, you paid your $250. Okay, that's how you get in, is by paying the $250. You're going to ask how, and I'll be telling you that too, as soon as I figure that part out. So anyway, you're going to get in Saturday night, and so the hotel room is paid for. But to get from the airport to the hotel, we are not covering that. You can take an Uber. It's about 10,000 of whatever there should be, $20. And if you get with 4 people, that's basically $5 each. The hotel is about 3 miles from San Jose Airport. Okay, so we're not covering. We're covering your hotel room Saturday night, but we're not covering how you get to your hotel room Saturday night or what you eat Saturday night. Okay, just want to be clear on that. Breakfast is included. I hear it's a nice breakfast. The rooms, double occupancy, have 2 queen beds in the rooms. So anyway, that's I just want to make that clear. And then all your food and everything will be covered, and we'll be very specific about what isn't covered, but all your food and lodging and transportation will be covered through the next Saturday, the 28th. Our last meal together will be lunch on the 28th, Saturday. So if your flight goes out that night, that's good. But if you're going to go on to another adventure, that's good. But Gail, I think you said you would get them to the airport if they went from there.
So on Saturday of arrival, I'm going to be at the hotel and to sort of direct you or go with you to the dinner place that I know about. And then on the last Saturday, we have a bus that can take you to the airport.
Great, thanks, Gail. And by the way, everyone, we just updated the website today and the Facebook event page today, and everything that's been said so far and much more is on, I just put in the chat, the event page on the Co-Creators Convergence website. So Sue, did you have your hand up? And David, thought I saw them in that order.
I did have my hand up, and I was just going to add, but I know it's different wherever you're flying from, but you said you're flying Southwest. Give us an example, like from anywhere in the US, East Coast, or you said you're Tennessee. What's the flight round trip down to Costa Rica that time of year? Approximately, I won't hold you to it.
Okay, Bob, we are flying out Houston, actually. Houston round trip to San Jose. For both of our tickets was under $1,000. I think it was $898 or something, or $988 or something like that. For
Great.
both of them.
Yeah, that's a good enough.
Okay, Sue, you'd want to go out of BWI.
Yes, I would, but
Yeah.
but that just gives me an idea, because even if
Yeah.
And you know, those I want to get away flights, they don't open up too many of those seats. That's why we're trying to get this information out as soon as possible. And so
Thank you.
another question.
David?
What
Yeah,
happened? There's
I have a kind of a unusual question, I guess. The question is, what do you mean by sacred peace? Isn't all peace sacred?
I just love that guy. I'm not answering the question. When we
Well, it's
get
coming-
there, we'll decide together.
Yeah, I was gonna say, maybe we should all bring our own definition of what that is for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
But the valley that we're going to is known as the Sacred Valley of Orosi. So that's where we picked up the word sacred. And that's how we experience. I mean, I speak for myself. That's how I see all my fellow co-creators.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Very
And the
sacred.
other question, I have another question too.
Sure.
No, you already had a question.
Does mini window actually mean something? It seems like it would have a meaning. A little fun? I don't know. What is window?
Yeah,
What does window mean in Spanish?
I love it. I can take that question.
Okay.
Yeah, mini, small, fundo, fun. No, not really. It actually is a derivative of a word invented by an author, Dr. Edmond Bordeaux-Seke, who had written before he passed about 85 books, most of them about the Essenes. And he lived about 300 meters from the mini fundo. And the founder of the mini fundo was very much into the Essene teachings, and met him, and the name of her retreat center is taken from that aspect. And it's more an actual mini fundo is like a plot of land that's divided into quarter-acre segments, and each family would have their own segment, but the gardens are shared, right? And so it's the concept of being in community. Yeah,
Perfect.
that's what it means.
Sounds
Yeah,
perfect.
so we would see it physically, David, as a city block walled in the community inside of it. Any other questions, David?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Teresa?
Gail has
Got
her
your
hand up.
I just real quickly, what was the name of Barbara Marx's teachings? Sacred Journey of the Evolutionary Soul, is that what it was? Anyways, just throwing it out there to bring the word sacred into it, so.
Thank you. Yeah. Wonderful.
But you know what, David, and anyone else who might be curious about that word, at least it's spelled correctly and it's not scared.
Right. Teresa, can you unmute your microphone at your end?
Yes. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay.
Wonderful.
I'm just
Welcome.
curious with thank you. With the mountains, is there any concern with elevation sickness?
Great question. Mountain ladies, what do you have to say about that?
The altitude of Orosi is anywhere between 1,000 and 1,100 meters. So whatever that is in feet, what is that above sea level? Is that about, I don't know, I don't do math. So use 1,100 as your conversion. It's not sea level, right? It's 1,100 meters above sea level.
Okay.
Do you multiply by 3
Yeah.
points thing for a meter?
The answer is
3,600.
3,200 feet.
I got 3,608, so
Yeah.
somewhere in there.
And a number of us that
Okay.
are
Yeah,
here
that sounds
hung
about
out
right.
at Sunrise Ranch, which was 5,000 feet.
Thank you.
Good question.
The
Yeah,
thing
good
is,
question.
it's
And-
a valley. Orosi is a valley, so you're not going to be up high in the mountains. You're going down the mountain into the valley.
Right.
And the hot springs are a little bit higher, but not that much. So no, there's
No, it's not.
there's no issue.
And another piece of good news is all of the water is potable in the country. So whether you're at the hotel, a restaurant, the mini fundo, the hot springs, it's all potable water.
Is everybody there? Several people seem to freeze all at once.
I don't know who said that, but yeah, a lot of people were.
Raina Shay. Oh, I guess Bob and Noel had a glitch.
Yeah, I can hear you, but you're breaking up. But who's speaking?
Raina Shay, I was speaking.
Hi, okay, Raina, do you have another question? Looks like they fell off for a moment. They'll come back on.
I do have some questions. Will activities be accessible?
Meaning
what-
wheelchair accessible?
Yes, everything is looked into in terms of wheelchair accessibility, in terms of difficulty of walking. There may be some things like Guayabo, there's a slope going down, but it's very gentle. So
Mhm.
there should be no problems. And if you have a really big need, we can find ways to get you to where you're going. But right, there's nowhere they're going to walk. It's a long, long way.
Okay.
No, and I can speak on behalf of the Mini Fundo. There is one unit that is wheelchair accessible, you know, with the wider doors and the bathrooms. It's equipped for wheelchair. And then at the hot springs, it's flat. You go from the
Right.
parking lot to the pool.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Great. So that one room, is it also double occupancy or will there be a surcharge?
You'll have to check with Bob and
Yeah.
Noel on
Oh,
that.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm doing the finances and also room assignments. And if there is a single room available, there will be an upcharge. But we don't know that right now. At the hotel, for the first 2 nights, it'd probably be a $200 upcharge. But at the Mini Fundo, I'm not sure. So who asked that question, just so I'm,
Well, I was asking about accessibility. It's Raina Shea.
oh, Rena Shea, okay.
And
Yeah.
Rosemary was describing a room at the Mini Fundo. And I
Okay.
asked if there would be a surcharge for that.
Yeah, we're not sure on that, Rena Shea. I can't tell you right now.
Okay. But I know you'll look into it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, sorry about that. We had I don't know, a lightning strike or a car accident or something, and our lights flickered and our modem went down, so I'm on my phone now. So sorry about that.
Yep, I'm here too.
That's practice for coming to Costa Rica.
I knew you'd say that. One of
Maybe
you.
it was a monkey that jumped on the line. You never know. We don't know.
Monkey jumped on the line. Other
Yeah.
questions? This is great. Thank you all.
Yeah, and I'm going to also say that if we have getting you a single room at the hotel, no problem. Getting you a single room at the Mini Fundo may be a problem. I'm going to give it to the people who need it for accessibility, get first crack. So I can't guarantee everyone at the Mini Fundo a private room, even if you're willing to pay more, because we have to give those that are coming that can't do stairs, you know, but there is no elevator there. And some of the processes we will be doing is upstairs. So I want to be clear about that, you know, when you are making your decision. Also, when we go and visit Gail's Humanitarian Foundation, there are 23 stairs up to her level. Now, she says she's getting everybody up there because these big, strong Contra soldiers will get you up there. She gets grannies up there and gets everybody up there. But I'm just telling you, I counted them because we were carrying food up there. I'm a lightweight compared to Gail and her helpers. So I'll just
So
say,
Gail, are you saying someone's going to carry me up there?
Absolutely. We do
All
it all
right.
the time. We did one today about a 200 and some pound guy with a amputated leg and a wheelchair. They carried him up the stairs. That brought his wheelchair up behind him. So if we can do that, we can surely do a nice, you know, visitor.
Thank you.
Okay.
I don't weigh that much, so but I'll lose some more before then as well.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions or comments?
I have a question.
No one has, no, oh, I just wanted to put this in where you just mentioned food. All the food at the Mini Fundo is vegetarian. Okay, just so you know that.
Thank you.
And there is no
Thanks.
smoking at the Mini Fundo. And it's not a place, it's like a very sacred retreat center, and it has security around. We are in the middle of a city. It's not like we're like at the White Eagle Lodge. It's not that we're on 70 acres or Sunrise Ranch, we're 400 acres. We are in a city. And so you will hear street noises and things, but you're not going to be able to just go in and out like, oh, I want to go down and get a Pepsi. No, when we go out as a group. And we will be going out because there's some wonderful things we're going to do in that little town, but I'm not telling you everything. So, Barb, looks like you have your hand up. Or Flo.
I was wondering if at the Mini Fundo, are there places where it's more than double occupancy? Because I don't remember, but you said how many dwellings there were. And so some of them will be more dormitory-like. Am I assuming something?
You're muted, Rosemary.
Yeah, you've got the idea, Flo. For example, one of the dwellings would be dormitory-like, a main kitchen, living room on the bottom floor, a couple of bedrooms down there, but then you go up the stairs and there's 4 or 5 separate bedrooms that each have 2 single beds in them and balconies. And then would be a shared bath between like 2 of those rooms. Yeah.
Okay.
But I can tell you that each one of the dwellings is unique. And I don't know, do they let anybody stay in the Dalai Lama room?
That's a meeting.
I'm not aware of anyone that has stayed there. I'm not.
Okay.
No, that's more of a Tibetan shrine room. I don't
Okay.
think anyone has stayed. Yeah.
I think, Rosemary, that the one dwelling is actually a house, the original house of that plot of land. And so you have the bedrooms are like the bedrooms in a house. It's not a dorm like when you were in college and you went to a dorm room.
Yes, it is. Building number 5 is like a dorm. But the house that you're talking about is the original house. I think, no, Olivia, you stayed there, right?
Yeah.
In the Casa Antigua, right? Yeah,
Well,
right.
yes, it was beautiful. Richard and I were couples, so we stayed in a place that's for couples. It was very beautiful, very welcoming, and they had snacks for us. It was just lovely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and why I brought up the Dalai Lama is that the whole Mini Fundo is a creation by a woman named Eleanor Dittinger. And she is a contemporary of Barbara Marx Hubbard. And she, shall we say, she works with Saint Germain, Jesus, and other beings. She's very magical, very magical. She has brought the Dalai Lama to Costa Rica twice. And when we're upstairs in the one meeting room that's upstairs, there are 4 beautiful rugs on the floor. And Rosemary, you want to tell us what those rugs were?
Yeah, those rugs were purchased downtown San Jose from a rug place, wherever the country is, where the big, beautiful rugs come from. And those rugs were purchased specifically for the Dalai Lama's visit. And they were on the floor when he came to visit, and then they were cleaned and have been on the floor of the 2nd floor of the main house at the Mini Fundo in the big meeting room. So you will probably be sitting on those rugs.
And in that room, it's so many windows all around that you get a beautiful view. But yeah, so I think that's, any other questions or comments or things we can help you with?
Yeah, how are we supposed to pay the deposit?
I kind of thought that question would come up.
I thought you were going to answer it. I was like, wait, she's acting like we're done.
Right? Okay.
Figured out the final number yesterday. We haven't figured out that.
People here have checkbooks? I prefer checks, but I can do other things. The thing is, I don't, I'm gonna put in the event announcement, and I'm also going to put in on the Facebook, on our website, how you can pay. And I'm going to put my address, you just make it out to me, Noelle Marshall, P.O. Box 543, Bloomfield, Tennessee. And I'm going to put that on the on our website so that you can use that. If you need to pay some other way, let me know. Right now, we have people sending us money through Zelle, Venmo, Cash App, all these other kind of things, and it's a little difficult to keep all this stuff straight. So if you don't have a checkbook, but you really want to be in, just say, I'm in, and tell me how to get the $250 to you. And you will secure your bus on the seat, your seat on the bus. So yeah, so that's, I prefer checks. It actually helps with accounting, keeping things straight. And
Noelle, can you put your address in the chat, please?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Can you do that, Bob? Yeah.
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah, P.O. Box 543, Bloomfield, Tennessee.
I'll do it, dear.
Okay.
I'll do it.
All right.
Anything else from anybody?
I'm going to say it because some people are going to be listening to this.
I do have a question.
BLOUNTVILLE, Bloomfield, Tennessee, 37617. So, sorry, we're just like a mom and pop, you know, we're not a. So thank you for putting up with my old-fashioned way, but I find it helps me. But I will take other things, but.
Yeah, go ahead.
So my question is, if we want to come early and stay after, who would be good for us to talk to about where to go and what to do? Yay, Rosemary. Okay, cool. And Gail. Okay.
And Gail. The Powell's, I think, do you already have your airline tickets, Dave? I think they're coming.
Yeah, we're coming about 3 or 4 days early, something like that.
So I know Dave and Talia are coming a few days early. Noelle and I will be there a week early and be there a week beyond.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking about doing.
So Gail and Rosemary, would you mind sharing your phone numbers so we can get to talk to you about where to stay down there and near the beach early?
Okay, I'll tell you something, the truth. I hesitate to recommend because I may have a vision of a place. It's your vision of a place. You go online, you'll find tons of places to go.
Yeah.
So what I would say is look and see what looks good to you, and then check out with us. Check with us.
That sounds like a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's very hard to know people's taste, you know.
Sure.
I would suggest maybe checking out Travelocity, 10 things you need to do in Costa Rica.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's things like that. There's so much stuff on YouTube. And I was saying to David, well, you know, maybe you want to go to Tamarindo over on the Pacific coast. He says, no, my friends told me to go to the Mediterranean side. So, you know, it's going to be personal decisions. And if you're co-creating that with somebody else, it'd be best for you guys to figure out what you want to do.
So
the other thing I
Rosemary.
suggest is that as we get registrations from people, we will share with all that have registered, everybody else that's registered, phone numbers and email addresses. And then you all can, in years past, we've actually had a separate private group on Facebook of people that are registered. And so they could communicate. There were other reasons in the past, like sharing transportation from the airport, but maybe we'll create a Facebook group just for those that have paid deposit and are registered. And then you all can communicate with everybody and talk about maybe making plans together for the before and or after. And you know, find out the questions that you've got for Rosemary or Gail, and you know, share other resources of travel touristy kind of things that you've explored. Sheila's been to Costa Rica before. A number of you have been to Costa Rica before. So that might be helpful, particularly for the planning of those before and after things.
I will set up a Facebook page, and I will invite everybody who's on this call to it. And once I get your dinero, I will give you a, what number you are on the bus so that you're secure. And we're just asking that, we're not going to do payment system and that kind of stuff. We're just going to say, if you get your $250 in and you're doing the early bird price, which means, you make your decision before the end of June. I don't think it'll last that long, but then we ask that they pay this in by September 15th. So we're trying to be as lenient as we can so that people can, work it into budgets. One other thing that just popped into my head, non sequitur, that's what I do, is health insurance. Some people you may want to look into where you get travel health insurance. If you twisted your ankle or, like me, broke your wrist or something like that. Some of us that are on Medicare, I don't know who that would be, certainly not me, but, everything there is typically covered like it would be in the States. But if you're traveling to a foreign country, I would strongly suggest that you look into the travel insurance. So that was just something, a non sequitur jumped into my head. I don't think we mentioned that elsewhere.
Okay. I've worked with volunteers for 25 years. I know all the hospitals, anywhere you go. And I know who to get in touch with for what severity of what situation you have. And just so you know, I love the Clinica Biblica Hospital. Clinica Biblica, clinic with an A at the end, Bible with a Lika at the end. I'll write it down. So, and they take any kind of insurance. They take insurance. There's no problem with insurance.
So that would be helpful, Gail, as we, it doesn't have to be this week, but in the coming weeks, perhaps we'll get with you to get more details so that for people that are registered, when we're sending out information to them with more details about the hygiene kits and all these other details, we would include information that you would suggest, and you also, Rosemary, of how people would investigate them having their own comfort level as related to international travel health situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I put that down as an IOU for us to put together. And also, Noelle, you just mentioned September 15th. I just realized we made that decision in our meetings yesterday, but it isn't in the information that's on the website. So I need to add that. We're asking people to make full and final payment by September 15th, correct, Noelle? Mm-hmm. And that we have we have a number of things that we got to pay for, bus companies and the hotel bills and things like that. So in our contract with the Minifundo. So I will put that in there as well.
Would it be helpful for us to pay the full amount now?
Noelle?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Of course, I can't guarantee you a single room, but you could, if we work that out, if that's Linda, we can add that on later.
Yeah, we'll juggle that.
That was.
Thank you.
Yeah. But if you do want the single room, yeah, you can go ahead and add on 200 for the hotel. That's just for the 2 nights. You'll get a queen bed to yourself.
Okay. Anything else? Sheila, we were just for your benefit, since you had to come in late, we were recording and the power blew here at the house. And so we haven't been recording since then for like maybe the last 15 minutes. But so we're going to we'll strip it down from Facebook, and because it is still on Facebook, we'll strip it down from there so you can catch the first part and others that didn't make it tonight.
Well,
thank you.
Quick
Sure.
question from Raina Shea. What's the weather like that time of year?
It's absolutely gorgeous. There's never any rain, and it's perfect weather. 72 degrees every day.
Okay.
Unless
so now-
Rosemary or Gail want to contradict me.
It is sunny in the morning and will be rainy in the afternoon, probably. But
Probably.
like everything else, it's all wacky. I mean, you can't tell. So I like to use an umbrella or a very lightweight poncho raincoat kind of thing.
Poncho.
If you bring a raincoat, you're going to die of the heat. It's way too sweaty. So just a lightweight thing that keeps you dry, and bring a change of shirt. If we're going someplace, maybe you'll get rained on, you have to change your shirt in the back. Something.
Also important are shoes, rubber shoes, perhaps, shoes that can get wet and they can be dried off instead of shoes that would absorb water and then they're wet for 3 days. Yeah, Bob, before we close, I'd like to invite you to put that screen share on of that last poem.
Sure.
I think that would be a
Absolutely.
lovely way to end, especially since it's a segue talking about weather, because as Gail said, it's crazy. One day there's no rain and it's sunny and beautiful and breezy. Not that it's not beautiful when it's raining, but the next day could be completely different. But typically during that time of the year, it is a sunny morning, and one usually gets up with the birds here because they're quite loud and chirping away. And by midday, 1 o'clock, the clouds will roll in. And if you've never experienced a tropical climate rain, boy, is that an experience. It rains, well, at least for me, the first time I witnessed that, it really rains. But a lot of times too, then it'll get clear again in the evening and you can see the stars or the moon, and it's just beautiful. Of course, I'm biased, but anyway, I'd like to share. Go ahead.
Rosemary, before you do that, I just want to mention that
Yeah, go ahead.
Rosemary gave us a great article about visiting Costa Rica during the rainy season, and we will make that available on the website, and we'll include it in anything we mail to you as well.
And for those of you that can, sorry, hon, those of you who can save the chat, I just put that document in the chat, but we will also put it on the website. It'll be part of mailings to people that register. Yeah, so there's two that you'll learn as you study about going to Costa Rica. If you've not been there, 2 things that are unique to being 8 degrees north of the equator compared to where we all are is number one, pretty much it's sunrise and sunset plus or minus a couple minutes the same every day for 365 days a year. And secondly, that there's only 2 seasons, unlike in Wisconsin where there's construction season and then there's winter, or in Chicago. There are 2 seasons there, and they are the dry season and the green season, which they try to, their euphemism for the rainy season. So yeah, we will be singing in the rain.
Just real quick, can I ask how many people are already committed?
I think we have 18 that have oh, are you just asking here?
No, just in general. How many do you already have signed up? Because I know it was limited.
I think about 18.
Out of 20?
No,
Well, it's 25 now. We announced it
Okay.
earlier in the call. We're now got to 25. We've made some changes in the buses we're getting and all that kind of thing. And they're
Cool.
and we're limited
So
at the
good to
mini.
see everybody. I love you guys. I know you're cutting out soon, so I just want to
Wonderful.
Love you, Sheila.
Love you too.
Thank you, Sheila.
Hang on a second. I said, Rosemary, that I would share this, but host disabled participant screen sharing. Noelle, can you give me host or something from your phone?
No, I can't on my phone, dear. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay. I can either read it or we can skip it. It was basically a closure for all that has transpired this evening. Again, thank you all for coming to check out your curiosity. Hopefully you learned something tonight that will help you make a decision. And, we're just talking about the rainy season and sun and everything. And all I can tell you from my experience is nature here is amazing. It has been such a teacher. And if one can just imagine, and I'll let the poem speak for itself, but if you would just imagine for a moment, it's short, But think about being out in nature, your favorite spot, or maybe a spot you don't know yet. And just feel it. Don't even think about it. Just feel it. Feel the nature, because it speaks loudly but gently and firmly. So this poem is by a woman named Eleonora Deuce, and it reads as follows. If the sight of the blue skies fills you with joy, if a blade of grass springing up in the fields has power to move you, if the simple things of nature have a message that you understand, rejoice, for your soul is alive. And so it is. Blessings, everyone.
And so it is.